look at and you say that this roster
On
is good.
paper, I can tell you for a fact that anybody who knows average basketball, that Thunder is way more skilled, talented, loaded than KPA. But then the challenge comes where you only have to play about 8 or 9 guys. You can imagine, you're not going to play 12 guys. I'm very sure of that. You're not going to play 12 guys in this game. You're going to play 8 or 9 guys. Now, these guys, you have to choose the best of the best who are ready for the moment. And it's not going to be easy, I can tell you. And also, there's also the factor of officiating. There's also the factor of coaching. I can tell you for a fact that the officials will be seriously intimidated because, okay, it's become a normal thing that officials in Kenyan basketball get intimidated by players and coaches, and the league doesn't do anything about it. It's like a normal thing. It's like you can see a player having an exchange with the ref for like 30 seconds to 1 minute. It's not a big issue. It's a normal thing. So you can imagine the intimidation these officials are going to get at the cost from the fans, from the coaches. It's going to be rough, and then that tilts the scales so much. You can imagine the technical bench. Okay, Thunder have a new coach, the white guy. I don't think he manages this one. This one is going to be a tough one for him. He's not going to be able to match up the mind tricks that KPA is going to run. KPA is going to bring the whole bench, the whole ideas, the whole everything, and they're going just to win technically, and they're going to be rough and very physical to those Thunder guys.
Uh,
I
okay,
think that is all for me about the issue.
Coach Abel, on that situation, KPA Thunder, KPA home court. They have to defend home court. What's your take on this matchup exactly,
Yeah, I
specifically?
got a couple of points. Sorry, it's gonna be a whole biography. Let's start
Ah,
very slowly. Let's start
okay,
very slowly because I've analyzed
okay.
this game. Let's start slowly. Let's start with purely on how both teams play. KPA is a machine at home. Okay, they're galvanized by the crowd, as Steve said. When you come from Nairobi, you will hate the calls sometimes. I don't think they're biased. You just hate the calls because sometimes you get calls in Nairobi and it looks okay to you. It's very hostile. The heat is disconcerting. So even their coach is not going to like the heat he's going to receive from Thunder. So the first thing they'll have to withstand is that wave. Because knowing how KPA behaves at home, just like what they did with Equity in the finals, they will come out swinging from tip-off. It'll be a very fast-paced game. You have a couple of matchup issues because KPA is a stronger defensive team. JMO, he could be listening to this, but hey, numbers don't lie. Steve, you're saying numbers lie? No, they don't. JMO does not perform well against Joe Byron, so he has to go to Mombasa and prove us wrong. In the finals, Nderitu, if you look at it carefully, when he met with Joe Byron, it was a shit show. Sorry, pardon my French. Yet he
Right. Okay.
was elite. He was elite before meeting him, if you recall. In Mombasa, it was worse. Was even missing free throws, air balls. It didn't make any sense. So he's going to have the same matchup problem, right? At the guards level, KPA's guards are extremely defensive. Ortega, Griffin are not the greatest defensive guys. Dima tries. Ken Washira defends, but like you said, we don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Ding, not really. Alia, yes, he plays defense. So now the issue comes down. Sorry, give me 1 second. The issue the issue comes down to whether Thunder can stay sober to operate. I'll go back to the game against Equity Hawks. Dumas, sorry. And I'll say Dumas only had Bosiri as an offensive player, right? And they were really tough defensively. And Thunder seemed to be rattled. And the game came back to a 2 point game. Now, people will say the referees did this, but the referees can do the same thing in Mombasa. They can decide to ignore calls and allow them to be roughed up. Now, KPA has more offensive players than Equity, okay? Because Odera can go on offense. Lennox can do it. Toby can do it. Joe Byron can do it. Like Mato is unstoppable below the rim. When I analyze the game, I say, okay, who's going to actually guard Mato? Is it Fade? Is it Jemo? Like, what is going to really happen? How are they going to operate in terms of, because Mato is very physical down low. He draws a lot of fouls. Okay, I can see Nick is back. So the paint is Shivachi, like the paint is stacked in KPA, which means that even though Thunder's a shooting team, and you mentioned earlier, Steve, Fahim takes rebounds, but he's not going to take those offensive boards because the paint with Haidara, the paint is covered in regards to collecting defensive rebounds and running transition. I'm not giving a scouting report for both teams, but they can have it because KP's advantage will be defensive rebounds, push the ball in transition. We all know how Eugene and Lennox operate when it comes to transition. They'll take off. Thunder side, their strength is teams that back down and play in the half court setup and wait for them so they can push the ball towards them. But every time I've seen them more than once. Eldones did it also. Every time a team picks them up high and puts pressure, it becomes a lot of isolation basketball. That's a bit risky. So what do I see in Mombasa? Now I've given the basketball analysis, but now you have other factors analysis. Ojukwu will be in Egypt. Ojukwu is very pivotal to how KPA plays in regards to grit. Coach Kiki and Opel have won the league with KPA, and they're great coaches. But there's a big difference when Coach Ojukwu is there because of the grind that he brings. He's a grinder. So when he's present, his aura, it makes the players feel like they were like 26 warriors going to fight two guys. So that can play a little bit of a role and make the game tight. But if I had to give a bold prediction of what's going to happen in Mombasa, like I said in the group jokingly, it's like KP has a 5-point cushion. That's it. 5-point cushion meaning that they start with +5, meaning that if they lose by less than 5, they've done a great job. Based on how both teams are playing, KP has played less games. It plays a big role in how you play in the season. When you have played, I don't know, I look at the standings right now. When you've played few games like this in a basketball season, it means you don't have your right legs to play the game. No matter who you are, no matter what people are thinking, yeah, here it is. KPA men have played 6 games, Thunder 9, and those 6 games are so far and wide. It's now that they're accumulating games. So I don't know how that's going to play. And lastly, you spoke about road to BL. I beg to differ. And people do this a lot locally. Never compare international game to a local game. Never say they lost to those guys out there. Okay, those guys are not these guys here. They're not them. Thunder is my those are my friends. They're doing very well. But who have they played against for you to know that they can play well? Who? All the people that they've played, they haven't been tested. The same words Steve O used, he said, KPA has not been tested. Well, Thunder has not been tested. Who have they played? You cannot tell me Thunder has been tested, yet the defending champion is the team that they have not yet played. Yet the vice champion of the league is not the same team. It's a depleted team that they're playing. So you can't tell me that Thunder has been tested. They have not been tested. They're about to get tested. So both teams are going to face their acid test this Saturday. We're going to be their front row seat. But to me, what people should be looking at is, will Thunder be able to shoot the way they shoot, just like Steve O said? Will they handle the mental pressure that comes into that gym and the heat, able to put up their shots? And for KPA, will they be able to find some offense? Because I promise you this, and this I'm saying it in total humility. If KPA finds offense, it's going to be a very long game for Nairobi City Thunder.
It's a
Because
done deal.
because Nairobi City Thunder, what they've not faced is offense. They've not faced a team that can respond. Like I said, when Bosire, which was disappointing to me, and I hope the Thunder guys are listening, it was crazy to me that the Bosire could go coast to coast alone, Steve-O, and score more than one time. Okay? Coast to coast, dribbling up the floor. That's dangerous because we all know, Eugene. Eugene, that's his
Eugene and Lennox, and Joe Byron.
Yes, Eugene, Joe Byron. Joe Byron is going to do it. Now, who's the big who's going to be chasing him? Like, this is why I'm a bit shaky. Thunder has a beautiful flamboyant style, and KPA has a rugged, old school, tough style. Both together is going to be a beautiful game. Hey, but whoever wins hasn't yet won the league, though. It's just the first leg. So that's it for me. I just believe that if KPA finds offense, because they have defense, if they find offense, Thunder's going to have a long Saturday night in Mombasa. Thunder should be ready to win the game 50-49. If they're trying to go score 100 points in Mombasa, then you guys call it what, the Lulu. That's a new expression. It's not going to happen. They will not score 100 points in Mombasa. That I can bet anything with anybody. They cannot score
Like
100 points in Mombasa. That cannot happen.
just to add on to that, Coach Abel and also Steve-O,
Mhm.
who are you picking in a 5-game series between Thunder and KPA?
But
Let's say,
when
for example, let's say in a five, let's assume like not assume, but in a 5-game series, and this is the first game that they're going to play, and they're going to start with in Makande, like
both
the
teams the
main game.
same way, both teams
Yeah,
with the roster that they have,
the one
and
that they
Ojukwu is
have right
present in
now.
his coaching, and
Yes,
Ojukwu is
yes.
present in his
Even
coaching,
all
KPA is winning 3-2 according to me. KPA is winning 3-2. And I said it to you in the beginning of the season. I told you the league is still for KPA. You have to understand a team takes time to gel. Winning games by 30 points doesn't expose you to anything. Take an example. Every game they've played that was tight, Equity game being the last game, the coach played 7 guys. Okay? Yet we say on paper, Thunder is the deepest team. Sindio Nderitu. He
yeah, true.
played 7 guys. 7. Tell me when Daryl came in. Tell me how many minutes Olang played. Tell me how many minutes Washira played. He played 7 guys, which means that if push comes to shoving this weekend in Mombasa, he's going to play 6. You understand? So if he's still playing 6 and 7 players, yet we all know that in his roster, he has 9 national team players, it means that he's still finding his team. That's why I said if he played the series today, KPA wins 3-2. You understand what I'm saying? And that's because I'm respecting Thunder. They win 3-2. Because he's finding his team. KPA is not finding a team. They know what everybody does in that team, and they know who has to play when. You understand? So that is the only thing that I'll say. If you said today, I'll tell you that KPA will win the series 3-2. Now, by the end of the season, that's a different ballgame. You'll have more games. You've been tested. I promise.